Hello dreamers, my name's Lisa and I'm the Dreamwork coach. 2021 is finally coming to an end and I just wanted to wish you all a happy HAT-SOO-YOO-MAY as we ring in 2022. It is a Japanese tradition to pay special attention to that first dream that you have at the beginning of every new year, because this extra special dream, this first dream of the year, can give us clues into how lucky we might be the following year. And this tradition is called HAT-SOO-YOO-MAY. It's pronounced HAT-SOO-YOO-MAY. So the word HATSUYUME pretty much translates into first dream. Hatsu meaning first and yume meaning dream. I think this is wonderful. I think this is a lot of fun. I've always known there's something special about that first dream of the year, and I never really quite understood where it came from. I just knew it was a thing that we're supposed to, pay more attention to them. And so this year I decided to finally look it up and figure out what is this all about and where does this come from. And it turns out it is a Japanese tradition, which makes me extra happy because synchronistically I have been learning how to cook a lot of Japanese food lately and I've just been really into that. So yay! Since December 31st is a night that a lot of us aren't getting a ton of sleep and therefore not having a ton of dreams, traditionally it's January 1st as the night that counts as Hatsuyume. So that means when you wake up on the 2nd, those are the dreams you'd want to be writing down and working with as your, premonition dreams for the next year. But this is, of course, flexible. So if your dream does happen to come that night of the 31st into the 1st, that certainly can count. And also if you have it like a day or two later, that certainly can count too. Whatever dream that you're remembering and that is really standing out to you, the first few days of the new year, the first dream you have in the new year, is the one that counts. So it's pretty flexible. In my Hatsuyume from 2021, I dreamed that my boss from a long time ago was yelling at me. He was screaming, "You need a new assignment!" And I yelled back, "Yeah, well that's one thing that we can agree on." That was my dream, my Hatsuyume for this year. So in looking back, from what actually played out this year, it's kind of funny because I ended up taking on quite a few new assignments this year. I deep dove into Dreamwork and now I'm a dream coach and I became a student again and I'm a teacher now. And so it's kind of crazy, like the use of the word assignment and then all the learning I've done, all the teaching I've done, and how I've grown this year, it kind of all plays out. So I do believe there is something to this first dream of the year. It kind of lets us know where we've been, where we are, and where we might be heading. And so according to Wikipedia, there are 3 extra lucky symbols that if you dream these in your first dream of the year, you are guaranteed to have like the best year ever, the most luck. This is kind of all about luck. Like how much luck are you going to have? How prosperous are you going to be? According to Wikipedia, the 3 most lucky symbols to dream about on your Hatsuyume are Mount Fuji, a hawk, or an eggplant. And then a few other lucky symbols are a fan, tobacco, and a blind acupressurist. A blind acupressurer. Like, what is that even? Is this someone who's an acupressurer? Someone who does acupressure that's also blind? I mean, that's a real specific dream symbol if you ask me. I wonder if I'll dream about that. When you think about it, these top 3 symbols, Mount Fuji, a hawk, and an eggplant. When you think about the actual traditional Japanese symbols and what they would mean in waking life, it makes sense. It makes sense that these would be considered their, prosperous, lucky symbols. So Mount Fuji is not only just the highest mountain in Japan, but it has a lot of spiritual background. And on worldhistory.org, it says some Buddhist sects consider the mountain a holy place. And from the 12th century CE, it became a destination for those seeking rebirth. So of course, when we're thinking about Mount Fuji that way, if it shows up in a dream, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a great thing. Rebirth and a holy mountain, of course. And then likewise in Japan, a hawk can be seen as a symbol of good fortune and luck because of its clever nature and its strength. And then the Japanese word for eggplant, which is nasu, implies achieving something great. So, however, if you decide to participate in Hatsuyume, which I hope you do, don't worry if you don't get one of these 3 symbols. I mean, clearly they are based in culture. You know, these come from the Japanese culture, and if you don't live in Japan, then it's likely that there are other great symbols of, you know, prosperity and luck from your own culture that will, you know, obviously show up instead. And there, I mean, when you think about it, there are limitless dream symbols and limitless dream symbol interpretations out there. And so I would just say take whatever you get, whatever symbols you get, and then work with it like you would a normal dream and go from there. So you may be thinking, is there anything that I can do to ensure that I have a good dream for Hatsuyume? And you wouldn't be the first one to ever wonder that. There are actually a few other Japanese dreaming traditions that go along with Hatsuyume for that very reason. People for all of time have wanted to, you know, I guess, cheat the system and make sure they get a good dream. So one of these traditions is to sleep with a picture of the 7 deities of good fortune on a treasure ship under your pillow. And this is supposed to help you bring in good dreams. And then alternatively, if you end up not having good dreams for your Hatsuyume, you can take this picture and throw it in the river, and it's supposed to wash away the bad dreams. So either way you win. And I'm gonna put a picture of that up here so you can see what that picture looks like. And if these 7 deities of good fortune just don't jive with you, feel free to also call on your own guides or your own deities, your own god. Whoever you dream to, whoever you pray to, however you do this, you do you. Interpret it yourself. You know, use your own, insert your own deity here. You know, you can ask your own guides for guidance as you fall asleep, as opposed to this, you know, random thing that looks like it was something from a placemat at a diner. So another Japanese dreaming tradition that goes along with Hatsuyume is to conjure up Baku. And Baku is this mystical monster who will come and eat your dreams for you. So if you happen to have a nightmare or a negative Hatsuyume and you're like, oh no, this can't happen because it will affect my whole life for a year, you could conjure up Baku. And I'm gonna put a picture of what he looks like on here because you might want to think twice. It's also been told that he can get a little greedy and eat your good dreams too. So be careful what you wish for. However, if you want to live wildly and conjure up Baku anyway, this is how you do it. So as soon as you wake up and you realize, oh no, I had a terrible dream and it's my Hatsuyume, you would call on Baku 3 times. You would say, Baku-san, Baku-san, and I'm not doing it a 3rd time. No one's tricking me into that, but that's what you would do 3 times, and then he's gonna come and gobble up your bad dreams for you. But like, look here, I'm an 80s kid, right? I know what happens when you call on something 3 times that's not supposed to be in this world. Like, remember Bloody Mary? Yeah, I'm not doing that, sorry. I saw that movie. So calling on Baku is an option at your own risk. I'm not sure about you, but I definitely plan on participating in Hatsuyume this year, sans the Baku part. And if you would like to do this, I will give you some very simple steps on the best way to go about doing that. Step number 1, like this video and subscribe to this channel to help me out and never miss another video this year on dreaming. Step number 2, set an intention to ask your dreams before bed what the new year has in store for you. You can also add to that intention the ability to remember them all very clearly the next day and to make them pleasant. You could say this out loud or write it down, and you could like say something like, show me what the next year has in store for me and help me remember it. Something that's simple, you know, make it up, put it in your own words, however you want to do it, but something simple like that. Write this down or think about it as you're falling asleep. And then this would be the time to call upon your guides or your deities and ask them for assistance, or put the photo of the 7 deities of fortune in the treasure boat under your pillow. This is when you would do that. Step number 3, go to sleep. Go to sleep. I usually like to wind down a little before bed. This would be a good night. Like, you are setting intentions. This is important. This is your most important dream of the year, okay? So don't mess around here. Do whatever it takes to get into a peaceful state. Try not to like scroll on Facebook as you're falling asleep. Instead of doing all that, just tonight, just one night, put all that away and instead think about these intentions. Make sure they're fresh in your mind as you drift off to sleep. It's the best way to kind of deliver this message straight to your unconsciousness. Step number 4, Write down your dreams as soon as you wake up. Write down everything you can possibly remember. What helps me is to bullet point. So if you got a lot of dreams coming through, bullet point them. That's how I remember every bit of it. And then once they're bullet pointed, then I can go back and write them out in detail. And then even then some more things start to pop up. But that's just a suggestion. The main thing in step 4 here is to really write down your dreams, every single thing. And the way that they made you feel too. How are you feeling? Write down everything you can think of. Even if it's just colors, feelings, random blurbs of conversation, anything at all you can remember. If you don't write it down now, right away, when you wake up, it will slip away. It'll slip away. You might think you're gonna remember everything, but you're not. I promise, you're not going to. So write them all down immediately. I can't stress this enough. And then step number 5 is to work with the dream as you would any other dream. What symbols showed up? Like, what were you doing? Does anything look familiar? Do a reality check. What season was it? Who was there? What's like making sense from your life, from the past year and this year? Remember what your intention was. Your intention was to know what's going to be coming to you in the future, right? So how does your dream relate to that intention? What pieces can you pick up? Like in the one I mentioned earlier that I had from last year, my boss screamed at me, "You need a new assignment." That's a pretty clear message. I need a new assignment. I need to switch what I'm doing like in the next year. So look at your dream and how it relates to what your intention was, which was what's gonna happen next year? What's my fortune gonna be? Am I gonna be lucky? And then also really consider the feelings. Like, how are you feeling about this dream? How are you feeling right when you woke up? Did this dream give you good vibes or bad vibes? Dreams are a window into our soul and how our soul is feeling. They let us know how we're truly doing under the surface and help us identify if there's anything in our waking lives that might need some attention. And that brings us to the final step. Step number 6 is to honor your dream. If it happened to be a negative dream, this is where, those feelings come into play. And you might want to really start picking apart this dream and figuring out, the reality check steps. What can you possibly do to avoid a negative outcome this coming year? Like nightmares and bad dreams they're a gift. They're putting a spotlight on what we need to fix so that we can fix them, so that we can avoid negative outcomes in the future. And if you had a bad dream, as a last-ditch effort, you could always call on Baku at your own risk. I am not condoning this. And then if you had a happy and positive Hatsuyume, then honor it by celebrating. Bring it into this world somehow. Draw it or share it with somebody. Share it with me in the comments below. I would love to see how it is. But the idea is to act on this dream and do something to make it come to fruition in this world, and to guarantee that you're going to have that great year ahead like your dream has projected. As a final note, I would like to remind you to don't stop paying attention to your waking signs and synchronicities either. These waking dreams that we have during the day when we're walking around, they work the same way. So the beginning of the year, if you start to see a lot of signs or synchronicities or things like that playing out, write them down, record them, remember them, and you can work with them in tandem with your Hatsuyume. So you take all of these things combined and work with them as one big dream, and then you have a good idea of where you've been, where you're at, and where you're going. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Check out my other videos if you want to know more about how to interpret dreams and more just about dream work in general. And until next year, happy dreaming!